First off, what even is trickle-down economics? Well, it's an economic theory proposed by neoliberalists and it is one of its core concepts. In theory, we should let a small percentage of the population acquire massive amounts of wealth so that it will eventually trickle back down to everyone, therefore resulting in more money for everyone, right? Well, the whole concept of trickle-down economics hasn't even worked in its conception. And among its very numerable flaws, I think one of the biggest ones is what I like to call trickle-up economics. But first, we need to address the eventually. I like how the idea of trickle-down economics states how the money will trickle down eventually. Like, what do you mean eventually? After 10, 20, 1,000 years? Putting no exact time limit on the theory lets it stretch out to infinity, because people tend to postpone difficult tasks almost always if given the chance, especially if that task is saving the economy of your country. And here's another question. How do rich people get their money? Are they the hardest workers in the coal mine? Are they the greatest inventors, reaping the benefits of their creation? Well, not really. In reality, the richest people in our society are the ones who take money from the poorer people. For example, Amazon. Do you really think they make billions of dollars in annual revenue by selling to the big buyers, the oil conglomerates? No, most of their money comes from ordinary people. Their revenue trickles up, so to speak. I mean, if they only provided services to the 1% of our population, do you think they'd still be in business? No, of course, they try to sell to anyone and everyone. Now, here's the question. How is the money supposed to trickle down to the average person if they acquire their money through said average person? It's a closed cycle in which the rich benefit immensely from, because even if they give the common folk some money, it will trickle up right back to them. Also, considering that the government loves trickle-up economics because they tax the not-so-wealthy on everything, while counterintuitively, rich people pay the least amount of taxes, either through loopholes or manipulating senator and state officials to lobby policies that are in their favor, the usual. So, the government trickles up most of its income too. So once again, how is it supposed to trickle back down? And I don't want to wait for another 30 years, because I don't even know if humanity will survive the next 30 years. Neoliberalism also encourages mega monopolies and corporations to form, and when they do form, why should then said corporations and monopolies change the socioeconomic status if it benefits them directly? Why build your entire economy around the richest of the rich and hope that they abandon everything they've worked for? The rich weren't even given the obligation to trickle down some of their income, so why should they? Trickle-down economics is more of a belief than an actual functioning economic theory. Trickle-down economics doesn't even work with neoliberalism, because neoliberalism focuses very heavily on the present, how to accumulate the most amount of wealth in the shortest period of time, while trickle-down economics is more geared towards the future, hoping that the wealth accumulated over time will be distributed naturally in an unspecified amount of time. And here's yet another conundrum. Rich people can't really lose their wealth, because almost everything they buy is an asset and not an expense. For the average person, buying groceries, paying rent, and other necessities are major expenses for them. Furthermore, because the price of food is numerical, the $12 footlong is nothing for a rich person, while the average person is forced to decide whether they'll be eating cup of noodles for the 37th time this week. And once they've eaten the food, it's gone. It's a one-way expense that is forced upon everyone. Let's say you try to fulfill another basic necessity for life, which is shelter. So if you decide to buy a house, it will most likely cost you more money than you'll ever make off of it from real estate. Keep in mind that taking out a loan is pretty much a financial death sentence that you will have to spend the rest of your short life paying off, including your numerous other debts. Even in the best case scenario, buying a house with no loan, you will have to pay for electricity, water, heat, etc., which will also keep you from profiting off of your purchase. Rich people just fundamentally don't have these problems, because once again, all of these expenses have a fixed price, and because the cash flow of rich people is exponential, they couldn't care less about those puny fees. If they decide to buy a super villa just for the fun of it, that same villa will almost definitely increase in value over the years. Even in the rare instances where the billionaires lose absolutely ridiculous amounts of money because of their Sonic the Hedge Fund get-rich-quick schemes, their government just bails them out. Or, for example, in the 2008 financial crisis, the government decided to bail out the people who arguably needed it the least. If good old Joe Average even dares to miss out one tax payment, he gets sentenced to 5,000 years in prison. But if the 1% lose their money in one fell swoop, they just get it back? And then they accuse poor people of having a poverty mentality while getting government-sanctioned handjobs and sacrificing all of their morals and ethics to their god, the free market. I mean, the working class is probably by far the most exploited group of people throughout history, and sadly, history tends to repeat itself. I really think we need to hit the brakes on neoliberalism, because soon the wealth disparity will be so great, civil unrest is bound to occur. We certainly tried to make it work for decades now, but it's just getting goofy at this point. I would also like to suggest to stop using democracy as a veil to create autocracies and dictatorships. Why should democracy even matter in the first place if you could just buy the votes? Making the rich and powerful even more rich and powerful, while giving the rest of the population the illusion of choice. I don't want to buy all of my products from the same 5 mega corporations, and I especially don't want all of my media to be controlled by the same conglomerates and what have you. And remember, you can't crap up. You're on your own. I swear if I see another personalized ad just by thinking about something, Zuckerberg will be never trusting his toilet or his pipes ever again. Thank you very much for watching my video right to the very end. And if you want to see more of content like this, you can just subscribe to my channel. New videos will be coming out soon, I hope. Or if you want to show your appreciation for the video, you can just come to my house and shake my hand personally. My address is 308 Negra Arroyo Lane, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87104.